Thanks, Sanjay, and thank you everyone for having us here today. Really unbelievable turnout. Very nice to see. I think you've seen this. You've already heard a little background on Metropolitan Water District. I think the key is that we are a supplemental supplier to the region, and we're providing about 40 to 60% of the water to this fairly large and robust region, and certainly have been critical, I think, to the growth that we've seen over the last 70, 80 years in the region, having that sufficient supply. Now, if we look at our mix of revenues, water revenues now comprise about 85% of the entire revenue requirement. It hasn't always been that way. When this system was first developed in the 30s, it was all property tax supported. Not too surprising. We had no customers until we could build the system. But since that time, we've become very dependent on our revenues. The users pay for the service they receive. And as far as other revenues out there, there's very little additional revenues now that are available. It's pretty much all has to be supported on the rate, on the customers or the rate base. And one thing for sure, with providing an essential service like water, you definitely have to be able to recover your costs. There's really no other choice. Given the size of Metropolitan and some of the investments that we've made, we have to have access to the capital markets. To do that, you have to raise the revenue. So no matter what, if your sales drop, you're going to have to increase your revenues because your costs don't change all that much. So here you can see our historical water sales. You can see it has kind of an interesting wave pattern up and down. I think in almost all cases, those big drops are usually a drought. And what you can see here is when we have a drought, I think we have one more there, the most recent one, our customers do a good job. We get the message out, they start conserving. But those droughts only last a year or two, but you can see how it just stays low. Sometimes it actually even goes lower for some period of time before it starts to rebound, before people start to change their habits. And particularly in the most recent drought, that was coupled with an economic downturn as well. And so you can say, as the drought ended, consumption actually continued to drop. Now, while our sales tend to go up and down like that pattern I just showed you, you can see that costs, on the other hand, have been growing steadily. And a lot of those, particularly the red bar, which is our capital expenditures, a lot of that is repayment of the debt service on bonds. We talked a little bit about some of the, Devin, I think, referred to some of the big investments we've made in the past several years, particularly the emergency storage, the Diamond Valley Lake, inland feeder that allows us to keep that full. And also water treatment, water quality concerns. We've had to implement what's called an ozone process to disinfect the water. It's a very good process, very well recognized, but very expensive to implement. So you can see the costs have grown steadily throughout this period of time. And actually the last 4 years, it's gone up and down a little bit, but holding fairly level there. Now this next chart, though, gets to something Sanjay was talking about, and you can see that the blue line is our water sales, and when your rate revenues, we rely on about 85% of revenues are rates, and about a like percentage, if you will, is all volumetric. So we only get revenue if people use the water. And so you can see per acre foot sold, some of those early years there, actually declining, whereas the previous chart showed costs steadily going up. And again, I think in the years early 2000 through about 2008, very strong water sales, and then you can see where it dropped off significantly. Now, one of the things, when your staff and your board members, when your water sales are going up like that, you can have many years of very low rate increases or no rate increases. But you can see when you have this steep drop off, immediately you've lost maybe 20, 30% of your revenues, yet your costs are remaining constant. You need those high rate increases. And I think, as most board members will know, no one seems to remember those years of zero rate increases or very low rate increases. When you have to raise them 15, 20%, everyone's hopping mad. And the fact of the matter is, even if you're holding costs flat, you still need a rate increase. So very challenging. And just to kind of give you a sense, you can see, the red bars there, how high our cost per acre foot went up in the last few years with a severe drop off. If our sales would have continued kind of as they were going, around the 2.2 million acre feet, we would have had, the cost per acre foot would have stayed very stable. Rate increases could have been very nominal, 3% range or so. whereas I think probably in the last 5 years, the rate increase has been close to 75%. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what Sanjay and I were kind of looking at when we did this, trying to get a sense of, everyone's angry, rate increases are double-digit going up. Why aren't you doing more to control costs? But the fact of the matter is a good high percentage, 85% or more of our costs are very fixed. We're either repaying our investors, the amount they're due on their bonds that we've issued them, or just, the ongoing costs of treatment and what have you that have to be done. And I think, let's see, that would be, now it's on to you? Yeah. Okay, thank you.